Hello everyone and welcome to Metagame Mastery, where it's not just about what the card does, but how it impacts the game. Week 2 of Guilds of Ravnica preview season is upon us, with major potential implications for Abzan tokens in Standard. If you like our content, click that subscribe button so you get access to all our latest videos, and if you're looking to support the channel, check out our Amazon affiliate link in the description below where you can pre-order your Guilds of Ravnica booster box. Without further ado, big time! Go time! Let's go. Divine Visitation is 5 CMC, 3 colorless, white for an enchantment. If one or more creature tokens would be created under your control, that many 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance are created instead. Okay, so let's take a look at this in Limited. In Limited, it hurts to take turn 5 off with something that doesn't itself immediately impact the board. That said, if you're running enough token generators in your deck, then this is going to kick it up to a whole other level, turning your 1/1 soldier tokens with lifelink into flying Sarah Angels of Death. So this card's pretty freaking amazing. In fact, I could see this having a pretty big Standard impact, and same goes for having potential in even Modern and definitely Commander. This is going to have a huge impact in a format where we're getting a new Vraska to go with the Ixalan Vraska. We're getting this, we're getting an X spell that creates tokens, and on top of all that, we have Assassin's Trophy. The Abzan token deck is looking like it could be potentially extremely powerful. Ledev Guardian is 4 CMC, 3 colorless, and a white for a 2/4 human knight with Convoke. So Ledev Guardian is a 2/4 that could potentially come down on turn 3. It's just not special. I guess he's fine filler if you really need a turn 3 drop in your Convoke limited deck, but he's not even that good in that environment. Luxodon Restorer is 6 CMC, 4 colorless, white for a 3/4 Elephant Cleric with Convoke, and when he enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life. So with Luxodon Restorer, you could potentially drop him on turn 4, maybe turn 3 if you did a double drop turn beforehand. That doesn't feel special to me. Getting a turn 4 3/4 that gains you 4 life. So I suppose he's fine filler in Limited, but I don't see any use for him outside of that. Our Hellion Patrol is 4 CMC, 3 colorless, and a white for a 2/3 human knight with flying vigilance and mentor. So I dub the poor man's Aurelia. Okay. This card is fine. Yes, you're paying 4 mana for a 2/3. That doesn't feel good. But it does have 3 keywords, Flying Vigilance and Mentor. I like the fact that it's evasive, so that in a congested board state, you can attack in, potentially mentor something up, and gain advantage for the next combat step. At the same time, this is a very good target to be mentored up by your other creatures. So all in all, it's fine. It'll do its job in the mentor build. In Limited, Ledev Champion is 3 CMC, 1 colorless, green and white for a 2/2 Elf Knight. Whenever he attacks, you may tap any number of untapped creatures you control. He gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each creature tapped this way. He also has the ability, you could pay 3 colorless, a green, and a white to create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. So this is a way for you to turn your go wide strategy into getting tall going into combat. You can potentially attack as a 5/5 on turn 4. That's powerful. And I don't think it's a coincidence that his mana dump ability is the same CMC as Divine Visitation, allowing you to play Divine Visitation, and then next turn, even if you don't hit your land drop, you can start cranking out Sarah Angels. All in all, I think this is a solid card in Limited. imagine there are much better options in constructed formats. Assure is 2 Selesnya hybrid mana. That's any combination of 2 green or 2 white. For an instant, put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature. That creature gains indestructible until end of turn. And Assemble is 6 CMC, 4 colorless, green and a white. For an instant, create 3/2/2 green and white elf knight creature tokens with vigilance. Okay, so with Assure, this reminds me a lot of Blossoming Defense, and that's pretty solid. I mean, yes, it's not going to get past exile effects the way Blossoming Defense did, so there's some give and take. It gives you +1/+1 instead of +2/+2, so it's not going to be able to aggressively kill off your opponent's creatures the same way Blossoming Defense did. But you get a permanent bonus on that creature, and it also plays well with +1/+1 strategies, or +1/+1 counter strategies. So all in all, this is a pretty powerful card. I can imagine this seeing play in Standard. Assemble gets you 3 bodies on the board, could potentially be very relevant in constructed decks that include playset of Divine Visitation. And even if you're playing this in Limited, you're paying 6 mana for 6 power and toughness across 3 bodies with a relevant keyword. That's still not bad, especially considering you can flash them into play at instant speed. Join Shields is 5 CMC, 3 colorless, green and a white. For an instant, untap all creatures you control. They gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Okay, so Heroic Intervention got expensive. This is a neat combat trick, allowing you to protect your board from any removal, board wipes, or for you to attack in without having to worry about crackbacks, seeing as you'll be able to untap everything and gain indestructibility. So it's a neat combat trick, probably overcosted. I don't know that I'd run this outside of Limited, but it's a situational but cool card. Siege Worm is being reprinted. It's 7 CMC, 5 colorless, green, green for a 5/5 worm with Convoke and Trample. Okay, so we've seen this card again and again and again. This time with new art, which is cool. If you hit your creature drops on turn 1, 2, and 3, this can come down on turn 4, assuming you also hit your land drop. And getting a 5/5 Trample on turn 4 is really pretty solid. So in Limited, this is a good card. Won't see play outside of that. Sprouting Renewal is 3 CMC, 2 colorless, and a green for a sorcery with Convoke. Choose one, get a 2/2 green and white Elf Knight creature token with Vigilance, or destroy target artifact or enchantment. So we've got kind of a sorcery speed naturalize attached to what could situationally be a bear with upside. Yeah, this is fine. It's an okay card. Nothing all that special. I do like the modal versatility of it, but that's about the extent of it. Circuitous Root is 4 CMC, 3 colorless, and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and or gate cards. Put them onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle your library. So I dub the explosive vegetation. Okay. All joking aside, this is strictly better explosive vegetation, allowing you to get some mana fixing onto the board. It also will play well in any Gates Matter deck if people decide to build that. Great redundancy in Commander, really solid card for Limited. Overall, just a good card. Hatchery Spider is 7 CMC, 5 colorless, green green for a 5/7 spider with reach and undergrowth. When you cast the spell, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. You may put a green permanent card with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay, so I dubbed the Genesis Spider. So we've got sort of a Genesis Wave, Genesis Hydra type effect on a 5/7 reach spider. It does play with Undergrowth, which obviously is going to get super fueled by Surveil in this format, allowing you to dig into your deck and cheat into play a powerful creature. And that's just great value. I mean, you're paying 7 mana for a 5/7, uh, and another creature. That's solid. This is going to be good in limited. This is going to be great in commander. Probably too expensive to see play in standard, but really a really good card. Lot Less Giant is 7 CMC, 6 colorless, and a black for a 6/5 zombie giant with Undergrowth. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target opponent for each creature card in your graveyard. So this is an ETB effect, which allows this to be reanimated. This is also a great zombie effect to go in zombie tribal decks in EDH. It's going to play really well with Surveil in Limited, not even requiring you to splash green to get the benefits of Undergrowth. This is going to see play in Sidisi decks. This is going to see play in Scarab God decks. This is going to see play in Dimir decks and Limited. This is a solid card all around. Wand of Vertebrae is 1 colorless mana for an artifact. You can tap it to put the top card of your library into your graveyard. You can pay 2 colorless, tap it and exile it, shuffle up to 5 target cards from your graveyard into your library. So we've been wondering for a while now if there's going to be any additional ways in Golgari to populate your graveyard, because right now it's looking pretty dependent on Surveil. This is one that doesn't require you to splash blue. In fact, this can go into any deck. And since you only really care about creature cards being in your graveyard in Golgari, this allows you to recoup your instant sorceries, enchantments, artifacts, and lands, and planeswalkers should they get next into your graveyard. Keep yourself from being milled out. So all in all, this is a solid card for limited. I don't imagine this will see any play outside of that, but for limited purposes, it's a good card, allows you great flexibility. Thief of Sanity is 3 CMC, 1 colorless, blue and a black for a 2/2 Spectre with flying. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 3 cards of that player's library, exile one of them face down, then put the rest into your graveyard. For as long as that card remains exiled, you may look at it, you may cast it, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast that spell. Holy crap! This thing's a beastie. Yes, you're only getting a 2/2 for 3, but it's an evasive flying body, and on top of that, it gives you card advantage every time it hits, all the while milling your opponent. Yes, you are technically populating their graveyard, and that can be a double-edged sword, especially in this limited environment. But you're making sure their best card is exiled and you get access to it, they don't. That's pretty sweet. All in all, this card is just an A+. This is first pickable and limited. This is outstanding in commander. You're going to want to run this all over the place. And it's for as long as that card remains exiled. So even if something happens to Thief of Sanity, you can still play the card. Awesome. Discovery and Dispersal. Discovery is 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and a Dimir hybrid, which can either be a blue or a black. For a sorcery, surveil 2, then draw a card. Okay, so we're paying 1 more colorless mana for Ponder that can populate your graveyard in standard. Wow. And in limited, that's just so good. And you can run it in your mono black deck. You don't even need to be running blue in order to benefit from this half of the card. Very powerful card. And then we have Dispersal, which is 5 CMC, 3 colorless, blue and a black for an instant. Each opponent returns a non-land permanent they control with the highest converted mana cost among permanents they control to their owner's hand, then discards a card. So it's just a tempo play, but it is removal that only affects your opponents. It gets rid of their biggest card, regardless of hexproof or indestructible, allowing you to potentially, it's situational, but to potentially make a big play that turn. All in all, that's just extra. I would run a playset of just Discovery in any constructed deck. That's a solid card. Onboard Ego is 3 CMC, 1 colorless, blue and a black for a sorcery. Choose a card name. Search target opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for up to 4 cards with that name and exile them. That player shuffles their library and then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. Okay, so I'll name Urza's Tower, or Urza's Power Plant, or Urza's Mine. Obviously only viable on the play to stop Tron, but yeah, let's do that. On top of that, I mean, this is a really solid card. It breaks up combo decks. If you have trouble against a particular planeswalker, say it's Fairy in Standard, then this will make it so that you don't have to worry about it anymore. Or if your opponent's just getting greedy, splashing a color just by running, say, Shocklands, you can cut them off from access to, say, their Assassin's Trophy that way. Really good card. Beacon Bolt is 3 CMC, 1 colorless, blue and a red for a sorcery. It deals damage to target creature equal to the total number of instant and sorcery cards you own in exile and in your graveyard. It also has Jumpstart. Okay, so this is really good. In Limited, you're obviously going to be building a deck around this where you're going to have more than enough fuel to make it worth your while, and it's 1 card that kills 2 creatures. That's good. In Standard, this could potentially see play in the Wizards deck, just because the ability for you to kill 2 creatures off of 1 card is solid, and you will be populating your graveyard in exile that way. Beyond that, I don't foresee this seeing any play, not even in Commander. But, this could be an option in Standard, and it's a good pickup if you know you're going to be in Izzet in Limited. Piston Fist Cyclops is 3 CMC, 1 colorless, and 2 hybrid Izzet, which is any combination of blue or red. For a 4/3 Cyclops with Defender, as long as you've cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, Piston Fist Cyclops can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Okay, so this is not Nivik Cyclops. It looks like him, but obviously he doesn't have the same potential to get out of control in a Storm deck. That said, you can reliably trigger this guy, and you can put him in a mono blue deck. You can put him in a mono red deck without needing to run the other color. So that's pretty solid in and of itself. I imagine this will see play in Limited. Obviously, it's best in the Izzet strategy. I don't imagine this will see play outside of that environment, though. We Dragonauts is being reprinted. It's 3 CMC, 1 colorless, blue and a red for a 1/3 fairy wizard with flying. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So we've seen this before. We know how good it can be unlimited, and we also know that it's probably not going to make a huge impact in Standard. So solid card if you know that you're going to be in that deck in Limited. Thousand Year Storm is 6 CMC, 4 colorless, blue and a red for an enchantment. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it for each other instant and sorcery spell you've cast before it this turn. You may choose new targets for the copies. Okay, this has potential to get nuts. It's a little bit on the expensive side. I don't know if it's going to make it in Standard or Modern because of that. In Commander, it can get ridiculous, okay? So what makes me say that? Allowing you to storm off and then get several copies off of cards that don't normally have storm. This effectively gives storm to all of your instants and sorceries. Holy God! This is going to get out of control so fast. So this could be a standard thing if you're trying to race this out and just go nuts storming off. Imagine the potential. You could do this with X spells. You could do this with your cheapy card draw spells. I mean, you could do this with any number of effects, and it'll spiral out of control so quickly. This is an amazing. This card has amazing potential to get out of hand. Maximize Velocity is 1 red card for a sorcery. Target creature gets +1/+1 and gains haste until end of turn. It also has Jumpstart. So it's a fine combat trick if you're looking to storm off in limited. Otherwise, there are better options. Book Devourer is 6 CMC, 5 colorless on red for a 4/5 beast with trample. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may discard all cards in your hand. If you do, draw that many cards. So if you're looking to dig for gas late game, this is fine. It's a little bit below curve, but it can potentially fuel you late game. Outside of limited, I don't imagine you running this card. And honestly, outside of, say, sealed or something, I don't know that you'd want to run this card just because it's so high on the curve and it doesn't necessarily win you the game on its own. Justice Strike is 2 CMC, red and white for an instant. Target creature deals damage to itself equal to its own power. Okay, I love that this kills Blightsteel Colossus, but not Birds of Paradise. That said, this is going to be premium removal in limited. It's sideboard worthy in standard if red-white deck becomes a thing. And it's a little bit situational because anything with higher toughness, it's not going to be able to kill. It's not going to be able to kill, say, a Shalai, which is going to be a very important creature to get past, probably in the next standard. So I don't see people main decking this usually, but it's still potentially really good removal spell at instant speed. Swath Cutter Giant is 6 CMC, 4 colorless, red and a white for a 5/5 giant soldier with vigilance. Whenever he attacks, he deals 1 damage to each creature defending player controls. Okay, so this guy's good and limited. You're paying 6 mana for a 5/5 with a keyword and a Chain Whirler effect on a stick. Yeah, okay, he doesn't really interact with the mentor mechanic much, but he's still a really solid choice, allowing you to clear out opponent's tokens and at the same time swing combat math to be more favorable to you. In standard or constructed, he's going to cost too much in every format with the possible exception of Commander. And okay, he's going to be a little bit janky in Commander, but I got 2 words for you. Basilisk Collar. Think about it. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this content, click that subscribe button so you get access to all our latest videos. And if you're looking to pre-order your booster box of Guilds of Ravnica, check out our Amazon affiliate link in the description below. This has been Metagame Mastery. Peace!